I was a nobody, just a grease-stained mechanic on a forgotten rock at the galaxy's edge. My biggest problem that day was a busted fuel line standing between me and my lunch break. But that all changed the moment the Galactic Empress arrived, and I saw my name etched into her starlight armor. I was sure it was a mistake, some kind of cruel cosmic joke. But the truth? The truth was far stranger, and honestly, it left me speechless. My world was small. You could measure it in rusted bulkhead panels and the constant smell of ozone. I was Jonah Cross, and my entire universe was the maintenance shaft of Colony 7, a dusty planet the rest of the galaxy had long passed by. Life was a predictable loop: run diagnostics, make repairs, and wish for a better grade of synth coffee. I didn't have any family to speak of, no grand plans. My only legacy was a reputation for being the guy who could fix the unfixable, whether it was a stuttering life support unit or a stubborn cargo loader. That day started just like any other. I was elbow deep in the guts of a vapor condenser, caked in grime, when the whole sky just caught fire. It wasn't the angry fire of a pirate raid, but a soft, impossible shimmer, like a nebula being born right outside our window. Down on the landing pad, a ship materialized out of the light. It didn't so much land as it simply arrived. It was a thing of impossible grace, looking like it was forged from captured starlight and polished obsidian. The Starlight Aegis, the flagship of the Imperial fleet. Panic and awe rippled through the colony. Governors and dignitaries, dressed in their dusty best, scrambled to form a welcome party they never thought they'd actually need. And then she emerged. The Galactic Empress, Seraph. She wasn't exactly human. Her skin glowed like a distant moon, and her eyes held the depth of ancient galaxies. She moved with a silence that was more commanding than any shout. But it was her armor that stole the breath from every lung. It seemed alive, swirling with constellations that shifted and glowed. And etched into its sacred plates, in fine silver lines, were names. Thousands of them. Ignoring the stammering officials, she glided across the Ferrocrete, her gaze sweeping over the crowd of gawking colonists. Her eyes, ancient and heavy with purpose, found me. Me, Jonah Cross, still holding a hydrospanner and trying to wipe grease off my cheek. She stopped just a few feet away, and the air crackled with an energy I could feel in my teeth. She raised a gauntlet, a masterpiece of cosmic art. And there, etched just above, a knuckle forged from a dying star, was my name, Jonah Cross. The Empress spoke, her voice a melody that vibrated in my bones. "I have found you," she said, and my small, predictable world shattered into a million pieces. Getting escorted by Imperial guards in chrome and ebony armor is surreal. The other colonists just stared, their faces a jumble of fear and confusion. I was one of them, a nobody. What could the Empress of 1,000 systems possibly want with me? I was positive it was all a mistake. Maybe there was a General Jonah Cross, some war hero, and their intel had gone horribly wrong. I'm a mechanic, not a soldier. My greatest battle was with a strip bolt. They didn't take me to a brig, but to the heart of the ship, into a chamber that defied physics. The throne room wasn't really a room at all. It was a dome of pure energy that perfectly mimicked the swirling beauty of a living nebula. Galaxies drifted across the ceiling, and the floor was a mirror reflecting the cosmic dance. The Empress sat on a throne that looked like it was woven from light itself. "You believe this is an error," she stated, her voice echoing softly in the vast space. I'm a maintenance tech," I stammered, feeling impossibly small. "I fix things. That's all I am." "That is what you do," she corrected gently. "It is not who you are." Then she explained a truth so big it nearly broke my brain. She wasn't just a ruler. She was more like a cosmic entity, a force of creation holding back a sentient void. Her power was immense, but it was also volatile. Without a tether, it would consume her, and then unravel the very fabric of the star systems she protected. She needed an anchor. a soul bound to hers by destiny, a guardian reincarnated across millennia to be her counterpart, her stabilizer. The names on her armor? They were her anchors, the souls of everyone who had served this duty across countless lifetimes. My name was just the latest in that sacred line. Before you were Jonah Cross, she explained, her galactic eyes filled with a sorrow that seemed older than time. You were Kaelion, my first and greatest guardian. You were a being of light and resolve, and you gave your life to save me from the Eclipse swarm. The words didn't connect. Kaelion, the Eclipse swarm. It sounded like a myth for kids. I'm sorry, I said, shaking my head. You've got the wrong guy. I don't have a heroic bone in my body. The man doesn't make the hero, Jonah, she replied. The choice does. Your soul simply needs to remember. To help me remember, she led me to a smaller chamber where a device called the memory conduit stood waiting. It was just a simple arch of crystalline material humming with a low, resonant frequency. She called it the Harmonic Rite, a process that would bridge the gap between me, now, and the echoes of my past self. I was terrified, but a deeper, nagging curiosity pushed me forward. What if she was right? What if there was more to me than grease and broken machines? The moment I stepped through the arch, the universe dissolved. It wasn't like watching a movie. It was like reliving something. I wasn't Jonah anymore. I was Kaelion, and my body wasn't made of flesh, but of starlight and pure will. I could feel the Empress, Seraphia, not as a ruler, but as my other half. Her energy, a familiar song tangled up with my own. The bond between us was absolute, a star thread of loyalty and a deep, profound affection. I saw epic battles, not with ships and lasers, but with sheer will against a tide of living darkness. The Eclipse swarm was a sentient void, a plague that ate light and life, leaving only silent, dead worlds in its wake. I saw myself as Kaelion, wielding a spear of concentrated daylight, standing in front of Seraphia like an unbreachable shield. Then came the last memory, the final battle of that life. The swarm was overwhelming us. Seraphia's power was faltering. To save her, to give her a chance to escape and keep fighting, I'd made a choice. I overloaded my own core, turning my entire being into a supernova of pure energy. The last thing I saw through Kaelion's eyes was the Empress's face, twisted in anguish, as my light pushed back the darkness one final time, buying her the moments she needed. The sacrifice was total, and the feeling of love and duty behind it was so powerful it brought tears to Jonah Cross's eyes. I stumbled back through the archway and collapsed to my knees. The memories were already fading, but the feelings, they stayed. The loyalty, the power, the grief. It was all there, sleeping inside me. I was Jonah, but I was also Kaelion.
As I was trying to make sense of it all, the grease-stained mechanic and the celestial guardian warring in my head, a piercing alarm shrieked through the ship. Red light bathed the nebula dome in a bloody wash. They found us, the Empress whispered, her form flickering. The swarm, it senses the Rite. It knows its greatest enemy is returning. On the vast star dome, I saw it, a patch of absolute black, a hole in reality that was expanding, swallowing the light of distant stars. Tendrils of darkness lashed out, striking at the escort ships, which just vanished. Seraphia clutched her throne, her light dimming. Without her anchor fully awake, she was vulnerable. The cosmic darkness was feeding on her instability. This was it, the moment of truth. I could stay Jonah Cross, the terrified mechanic who was hopelessly out of his depth. I could curl into a ball and wait for the end. Or I could answer that echo in my soul. I could be Kaelion, looking at the Empress, seeing the strain on her ancient face. The choice became crystal clear. In fact, it wasn't even a choice. It was an instinct. I closed my eyes, not reaching with my hands, but with my mind. I searched for that feeling from the memories, that star thread that connected my soul to hers. I found it, a faint, silver cord of light. I grasped it, not with my fingers, but with my will. I poured all my fear, my confusion, my dawning acceptance into it, offer my own simple, solid reality as a grounding point. I am here, I whispered, the words feeling both foreign and completely natural. A torrent of golden light erupted from my chest, flowing along the thread and into the Empress. Her form solidified, her light flaring from a dim ember into a brilliant sun. She rose from her throne, her power and mine now intertwined, a perfect harmony of creation and stability. Together, we unleashed a wave of pure, white energy that slammed into the encroaching void. The darkness recoiled, hissing and dissolving at the edges. The attack was broken. The void retreated, at least for now. I stood there beside the Galactic Empress, the ship's engines a distant hum beneath the roar of power inside me. The grease on my clothes felt like a costume from a life I didn't live anymore. My name, etched on her starlight armor, wasn't a prophecy of what I would become. It was a reminder of who I had always been. Jonah Cross, the maintenance worker from a forgotten colony, was gone. In his place stood Kaelion, anchor to an empress, and the last line of defense against a universe of darkness. The truth had left me speechless, but my purpose was finally screaming. And my journey? It had only just begun. If you enjoyed the story, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more tales from the far reaches of the galaxy.